You're listening to the Ballet Piano Podcast, lifting the lid on dance accompaniment.
Hello listeners and welcome back to Ballet Piano Podcast. I'm Chris Hobson and as always, in the studio with me today is the rest of our beautiful podcast team. The marvellous Matthew Gregory.
Hello.
The absolutely amazing Akiko Hobson.
That feels a bit weird, but hello everybody.
And the delicious hashtag David Yo of Instagram.
Hello.
So in today's episode, we're slowing things down a little bit and we're going to be talking about rond de jambe. After all my years of sitting behind the piano, I did learn, finally, that rond de jambe technically means round of the leg. And a quick Google search has taught me that actually rond de jambe really helps with increasing turnout. But after that, I'm a little bit lost, David. So could you help me out, please, and explain what rond de jambe is?
Did you learn that this morning?
I learned it yesterday writing my show notes. So, David, can you please help me out and to explain to us what rond de jambe is?
Sure. Well, rond de jambe, there are two ways of doing rond de jambe. When we at this point in the class, we've done a warm-up exercise, we've done pliés, we've done tendus and jetés, and we've gone faster with glissés. And now we're going to slow things down again because we're going to do a different kind of a movement. So far, with the speeding up of things, we've done things generally in straight lines. Mm-hmm. So from a closed position to an open position, either to the front, to the side, or the back. And now we're going to join those things up. So we're going to actually start, let's say, we point our toe to the front with a stretched leg to the front. So you've just got your big toe on the floor. And you're going to draw a line on the floor to the side and then end up to the back. That's a rond de jambe in a particular direction. And we call this en dehors, going outwards. We can do the reverse of that would be en dedans, going inwards from the back, round to the side and to the front. And then passing through first position. And so you're on the floor, you're going to make a capital D shape with your foot. So as you pass from the front to the back through first position, you'll actually put your whole foot on the floor and then point your foot again in a new direction, either to the front or the back, go round to the side and then either end up to the front or the back and then close back into first. That's one rond de jambe à terre, on the floor. But you can do that also with your foot off the floor, maybe at knee height at 45 degrees, or grand rond de jambe, which would be at 90 degrees, that's hip height, all the way around, making the same shape to the front, to the side, to the back, or reversed. But there's also rond de jambe en l'air. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that comes later on slightly, doesn't it? So rond de jambe à terre, straight after the quick 2/4s or the quick 6/8s, as we were talking about in the last episode, musically, what do you want from a pianist in this episode? We're going to go slower, aren't we?
We are. So you need more time within the musical phrase. So generally, we tend to aim towards a 3/4. So it gives us a lot more time to actually fill in the gaps between either front to the side or side to the back. And that gives the person who's doing the action time to feel what you're talking about, turning out from the top of the legs on not just the gesture side, the foot that's actually making the actual shape on the floor, but also when you're standing on your supporting leg, you also have to do a turning out movement in the opposite direction to where you're going. So if I'm going from the front to the side to the back, on my supporting leg, I'm feeling about almost feeling I'm going the opposite direction, even though I'm standing on that leg. So you're getting the most possible action from the top of the muscles to turn out your legs.
And when you set it, just a standard rond de jambe exercise, the start of the rond de jambe, usually, where would you want that to be? Is that going to sort of like and one and two for the rond de jambe, or would we be out on the first beat of the bar, out and to start, or does it depend on the way it's choreographed, or am I completely off?
No, you're right. It depends. If you're talking about a more novice student or someone that you're teaching, or you want more time within the phrase, that you're going to start going out on the and one. And also, it depends on where you actually start that circle, because you can start anywhere in that circle, either from a closed position, maybe first or fifth position, or you might start in any of those three directions, front, side, or back. It's up to, whatever your purpose would be. generally, what tends to happen is when you're teaching more novice people, you tend to start either in a closed position, or we have what we call a preparation, where we bend the knees in first position in a plie. We may dégage, we might tendu on a bent supporting leg to the front, and then stand up with two straight legs, and our leg then, gesture leg, is à la seconde to the side of our body. And then we might start the action from that position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we tend to do, because what we want to do is practice the action of rounding of the leg. So we might do a lot of repetitions of the same action.
And is it right that the passing through first is on the one of each bar?
It could be, or it could be ending. So if we were going to teach, let's say, a very inexperienced person, I might start actually from a first position of the feet. I might just start then going very slowly, tendu devant, one, and I might hold there if it's the first time they've done it, 2 and, so they can feel that extended position. 3 and 4, they might start making a very slow circle from the front to the side of their body, and then they might go from the side to the back. 5 and 6, that will take two bars, and then 7 and 8 we might return back to the closed position, the first position. So that would then teach them where they're physically going to actually move their leg within that movement. And then as they get more proficient at it, then we might actually start doing either double time, so you just take 1 bar of music to go to the front, to the side, and the back. So 1, 2, 3 to the side, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3 to the back, and then 4, 2, 3 close. And then as you get more experience, you might even double up that time, so you're getting faster and faster all the time.
So eventually they become in sort of one dancer's count.
Exactly.
Is that what they're sort of aiming to get to?
Yes. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a precise muscle memory that you can go at any speed that you like, so that you can actually swiftly get round in one count, perhaps, if you need to. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's preparation for presumably what's coming later on in the class, is it? And
there are jumps and movements in the centre practice when you're not standing at the bar that require this movement, and especially in jumps. And you need a lot of control, muscular control and balance to be able to do that without the bar. So that's why it takes a long time, and that's why we do it so slowly at first.
And why do you put a port bras exercise at the end of the rondejong?
Because it's slow, after the actual standing of the last time you'll have moved your body in terms of body bends will have been pliés. So you'll have done pliés, tendu, and jetés and glissés. So for 2 exercises in between, you've not moved your upper body.
Right, you've just been all the lower half of the body.
So now you need to actually release the tension, perhaps, and sort of like remind the dancer that they actually are going to dance with their whole body. And that's why you would put body bends in now, because the tempo is slower now. And so you've got more time to actually express that. Really, that's what the actual purpose is.
And you will have assumed to up until this point that the heart rate's up from the battement glissé and jeté.
And so you're warmer.
So you're warmer physically, the whole body, so it's a good time to stretch out, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
I really like it when you get a port de bras at the end of the rondejong exercise. Goes back to what we've said in pliés, what we've said in tendus, about being musically indulgent with yourself, isn't it? Because you've got a relatively slow 3/4, like Chopin E flat or whatever else we play, scenes from childhood, whatever we like to play, with the with a very slow waltz usually in the bass, isn't it? In the left hand it's cha cha, cha cha, and then when you get to port de bras, it's almost like a return to pliés musically, isn't it? You get the quavers back in the left hand, or you can start chording it up a little bit, and almost like I quite liked the melody to go up when dancers do a forward port de bras and sort of, musically and lyrically do the opposite of what their movement is. If they're going down, I'm going up. If they're going up, I'm going down, and vice versa, just to add a little bit of spice into there, just for my own enjoyment.
And they're probably looking forward to this stretch as well, aren't they? After they're doing all the rondejong.
Yeah,
so it's a big
stood
indulgent
there,
moment, isn't it?
It's a bit, yeah. No, I like the rondejongs because you can really be inspired by the music that you hear that affects the way that you dance for this particular thing, especially after you've done something quick like glissés just before that.
And there's a coordination thing, isn't there, for rondejong? Because there's a port de bras for the ondador, ondeur.
Put your teeth in.
And there's a port de bras for the ondadon.
There could be, yes.
There
There's
could
lots
be
of variations that you can do that. But I mean, in contrast, I mean, we don't always stick to 3/4s. I mean, it's always sometimes very interesting to actually have a 4/4 as well,
Yeah.
so that it actually makes the dancer listen. Yes, and so, but with a 4/4, you're perhaps trying to use it to alert them to the precision of where they're going to end up in a particular time of that rond de jambe, the rounding of the leg, at a particular time within the music.
I always feel that if we're on a 4/4, even if you've got exactly the same pulse, say this is your pulse. I hope that click came across over the microphone, but if that's your pulse, on a 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, you could keep the same pulse, 1 and 2. And they just, even though there is exactly the same amount of time, it doesn't feel like it's the same amount of time. And you can see, a little bit of panic come.
Yes. Because they rely, it's true, because when you, as a dancer, I remember really being indulgent at that point, because the music really inspires you to do this music. So it's such a help to do this on a 3/4 perhaps.
What do you like to play, Kiko and Matt? What's do we have, what's greatest hits on this, or what's your favourite combination of, rond de jambe, port de bras, balance even? Or I know I've worked with a teacher in the past who's sent the students down to the floor at the end of a rond de jambe exercise and then brought them up as if it's, it's almost like the end of an adage.
I just remember when I started my job and I didn't have much rep to play for the ballet class, and I felt like all the ballet pianists are playing Moon River for rond de jambe somehow.
Yeah.
So I just always remembered, okay, I have to find the music. It's similar to Moon River, and then I'm going to be okay with rond de jambe. That's like how I tried to find the tune for this exercise.
My go-to this week has been because Joshua has just finished reading this. Joshua's Akiko's son. He's 5.5 years old as we record this, is he?
Yes.
And it's quiet this week because he's on a play date. But he's just finished reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and watched the film with him. So this week has been pure imagination for most rond de jambe. So if you've worked with me this week and you're bored of it now, I promise I'll play something different next week.
I mean, I don't know how you feel, David, about rond de jambe, but I feel as a musician, this point where we've got to in the bar, this is the moment where the dancers, everything is sort of really coming together. The port de bras, their heads, the coordination, the artistry. I feel like this is where they're really dancing at the bar.
Yeah.
And so for choosing something, I choose something that's really emotive.
Yeah.
And so I not always, but I sometimes play the Schindler's List theme in 3.
Yeah, that's...
And that, because it's so chromatic and
That's my adage tune.
Is it? Okay. I'm going to play for adage as
gosh,
well.
by the time we get to the end of this podcast, we're going to find out we all play the same repertoire for different exercises, aren't
But
we?
it's really emotive and people love it.
I really like what's it called? The My Grandfather's Clock.
Oh, yeah. Well,
On a 3/4, not a 4/4.
Yes.
And I know did I steal that from you, or you played it
I
for me
think
and I
so.
said I was stealing it?
It's quite famous in Japan, and I actually thought it's a Japanese folk tune somehow. If I can tell in Japanese for Japanese listeners,
for our third most popular country.
it's called Okina Furudoke. And its direct translation is the old clock.
Because it's got the bit when you listen to most recordings. I mean, the lyrics are a little bit sad because the old man dies at the end, but before the old man dies, it talks about the clock and he goes, and it stopped, and the music stops. And if you do that on a 3/4, you can see the dancers who are musical and the ones who are not, because you don't play the 2/3.
Yeah.
I sort of look, you just go, and some of them get really freaked out. The other one, like, sometimes people will smile at you, and then it's nice.
To sing
do
that
like
at
that.
primary school.
Did you?
My grandfather's clock. Yeah.
Stick it back in the rep as well. Let's bring it back for
Going
2020.
back in.
And then you get the port de bras after it, and you say, we go into the indulgence, and then if you get super lucky, you can get the second side straight in.
And I think if we're being kind to the dancers, we'd probably pull out that port de bras, wouldn't we? We'd sort of just stretch out that tempo. So they've got time to do all those. Because sometimes they do like full circular port de bras and only 4 counts sometimes. Yeah. And they've got a long way to go, haven't they? Right. So I think we would be kind, wouldn't we? And just pull that out a little bit.
I've started being I think it's really funny, but no one's laughed yet this week. I've been playing for somebody who does a releve for 16 bars at the end, 16 bars of 3/4.
Okay.
And I'm sticking in "You Raise Me Up" because I think that's really funny. But no one's laughed or smiled at me yet, so they don't know the repertoire, in which case I need to retire, or they're not listening. So I hope it's the fact they don't know the rep.
Standing there for 16 bars of 3/4
I
is
know,
quite a long
it's
time.
quite a long time.
When you're focusing so hard.
Yeah,
on
you've
it.
done 32 and 32, and then you do 16 in releve, and then I was like 14 in releve, and spin around to the second side.
But sometimes you think it's like 8 counts to, and then finish, and then they want more, and it's like you just
Yeah.
have to add another 8 counts.
This is where you get to the end, isn't it? Especially, if there's going to be a releve or you suddenly get shouted at releve, this is the first exercise really as a pianist where you've got to be able to continue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And you've got to be prepared for anything. You could, ask for an 8 to balance, or you've been told you've got an 8 and then they want an extra 8. And then sometimes a teacher will say at the end of that, and 4 bars to the second side. So they want the introduction again. And then we go again.
Or 2 calls to end.
Yes. Well, if we're going along that methodology of training, yes.
I just had one teacher a long time ago. He asked me to finish 2 calls at the end, and at that time I didn't really know what it was. And I just kind of said to him, so I just have to play dominant and tonic to finish. But he misunderstood me, and then he kept saying in a ballet class, the G and tonic to end. So he just kept calling G and tonic ending.
I'm going to steal that. That's brilliant.
I used to work with a teacher who would have a gin and tonic ending at the end of every exercise. And he's great. He's a personal friend, and he's going to hopefully come on the podcast at some point in the future. But he has a gin and tonic ending at the end of everything. And it took me a while to know what that was for. And I was told it was, to either hold the position in releve or just to have a brief moment of reflection and just to keep that moment of focus, just for a couple of seconds. Then he'd say, and again. And then we'd just do the gin and tonic to finish with.
To bring everybody together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was playing my balances really quietly.
Yeah.
Because I think they're concentrating. The dancers are concentrating. They don't want to be bombarded with all this music, but they want to hear something. So I was playing my balances a little under.
I think I spent years almost like fluffing through the balances because I never knew how long it was going to go on for. Because quite often the balance is going to be the bit that'll be overlooked when a teacher's saying the exercise. So you'll know exactly how long the exercise is. If there's a port de bras at the end, you know exactly how long that is. And then they go, we just balance at the end.
Yeah.
Is it 8? Is it 16?
Yeah.
Is it an 8 and a turnaround for 4? And then we start the next side. And that's can be a bit that's overlooked sometimes, can't it? I think.
Yeah.
And is rond de jambe exercise the first exercise where there'll be a sort of balance in passe or an open position? Because I've played for lots of exercises, and then it's, the balance is either passe or attitude or something.
Because you have a lot more time within the music. Yes, the balances are going to be longer, and often the positions that you're going to balance in are bigger, so the bigger poses perhaps.
Because we've done grand rond de jambe, haven't we? And so the dancers presumably are really warm at this point.
Yes, yeah.
So then they can find an open position balance.
Yeah. So before this, you might be at the end of perhaps, Chris was just alluding to this, perhaps at the end of every exercise, you might do a little sort of an ending. Yes, and you might build up the way that you get the positions you're going to balance in.
Yeah.
So like from standing on 2 feet to 1 foot in coup de pied, that's the neck of the foot, placing your gesture foot, against the ankle bone of your supporting leg. And then you might go up to retire, which is just perhaps around about the knee height, underneath the knee in retire. And then, as we say, into more bigger positions, bigger poses like attitude or extensions in any other direction. So you're quite right.
So the balances have progression throughout the bar as well
Absolutely.
as the the actual exercises.
Yes. And as you said earlier, you can also use your upper body to do rounding movements as well. So you might bend in double all the way forward, go to the side, let's say towards the bar, and then go all the way backwards and back round to the side. And that would be a whole circular port de bras. You're quite right.
It just takes a while to get to know the terminology as a pianist sometimes, doesn't it? And you're always learning because, I mean, I know ballet can seem, the way it's taught can seem to be very set, got it? And, almost, sometimes historical in terms of the choreography, but it is an art form that is, set in its history, but is constantly moving forward with, different influences, like, be it sports science or just different ideas and different approaches. So it's nice to...
I mean, I've got to say, I came at this from a different direction, didn't I, being a dancer first? So I had all that ballet terminology from training. And then when I came to playing for class, I mean, I guess I took it for granted, but it was the whole musical side of me that I was playing catch up with, the technique of playing the piano and playing for ballet class, the actual music technique that I was playing catch up on. All the ballet terminology was second nature.
See, it's funny because we've probably taken things for granted, you and I, and Akiko, but just completely opposite. I took for granted that I could play the piano and I could do the exercises. I just didn't know what I was meant to be doing when I started.
Yeah.
Whereas you knew exactly what you were meant to do, but you just, like you say, just playing slight
know
catch
how.
up with with the physicality of it.
Yeah.
I remember like downloading this like free app of ballet terminology on my phone just to understand the word in the first year.
I was working in my first ever ballet job, and it was pas de cinq. And I got no idea. I didn't even know that ballet terminology was in French when I started. And I wrote a note, and I think I spelled it like PARDAS, and then I wrote sink or something like that. It's just like, yeah.
And I don't, as well, because having played for so many different ballet teachers, I found I'll never forget terminology or the names of steps. Because you hear them all the time, either at school or company level, open classes, kids classes. And so if a teacher has forgotten the name of a step, I'd be like, oh, that's coupe passe, or that's a bit one of these, coupe jete. So I find I'll never forget the names of terminology, ever.
Wow.
I'm the complete opposite. I don't know what half the steps look like, but I know what they are, but I wouldn't sometimes recognize
I'm the
them.
same,
Yeah.
and I still cannot spell most of the word correct.
I
so
know.
any ballet pianist who share the same ballet score with me, I'm very sorry. I spell everything wrong on the marking.
The spelling wrong is not an issue. It's when you write in Japanese. I tried to play the class that you'd been playing for a while, and I got your notes, and 30% of it's in English, but the rest of it's in Japanese.
It's English and Japanese and some numbers.
Oh, well, listen, I think we've discussed everything and more in this episode. Let's bring it to a close. Don't forget, if you like photographs, as we all do, why not get in touch with us on Instagram at Ballet Piano Podcast. We're pretty live on there. We'll share a story every now and then and hashtag us in there with whatever the modern kids do. And anyway,
It's all
after
about
that,
TikTok
it's
now.
all about what's TikTok.
It's the new thing.
All right, I'm going to stick on Instagram for a while.
Do a ballet padding podcast TikTok.
Okay, we'll TikTok at some point. Is that the right terminology?
And any Japanese welcome, feedback, tag,
Yes.
hashtag
And
in
hashtag,
Japanese.
we're at Ballet Piano Podcast. So make sure you join us next time, where what we're going to discuss is possibly the most sexiest exercise at the bar ever. It's the one that really gets my juices flowing, and it's called fondue. It's going to be a good one. So until next time, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.